rebuilding. A catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40 who focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Hey guys, and welcome to episode 182 of the Silverback Blueprint Podcast, Food Ninja. So guys, 10 weeks now, 9 weeks into my transformation, and the big thing everyone's asking me is, what's the secret? What's going on? And I'm saying, well, I'm a genetically gifted God. But on top of that, what's happening is I've truly worked on taking real control and responsibility for the food that I take, for the food that I eat, for the food that I prepare. I knew going into this, to make this crazy transformation, to lose over 125 pounds and get to November 2nd at 10% body fat, and lose all this in under 11 months was a huge undertaking. I wanted that undertaking. I wanted that undertaking for a lot of reasons I've spoke before. I've always wanted to bodybuild. I've always wanted to be on stage. I've always wanted to have that physique since I'm, my late teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, but always found reasons, mostly based in fear, not to do it, not to go after it. So after my last couple of years of really recommitting to powerlifting and doing really well on the bench and just coming short of the 600, which I will be back for, at 50 years of age, I said, listen, I need another big goal. My body's a little beat up. I need to switch things over. So that's why we jumped in. I said, we're going to go after that bodybuilding goal. And it fits. I get to pull back a bit on the heavy training, not the intense training. The body gets a break overall. It's a change in training. It's a change in mindset. It's a change in goal and focus, but all within the wheelhouse that I currently have. And of course, that bucket list thing that's been there forever. But I didn't for a second think that it was going to be easy. And I didn't think for a second there was any way I was going to get through this without really starting to create some mastery in areas where I had very little mastery, personal mastery, not knowledge, but personal mastery. I know what I'm supposed to eat. I know what you have to do. I know how you have to set things up. Kind of been doing it for the last couple of years, but I haven't owned it. I haven't taken extreme ownership on it. And for me, food was definitely the big thing. So I knew that I would have to sit down, and I started off obviously cutting back on portions, focusing on rice and beef, kind of a version of the vertical diet that Stan Efferding does. Dropped a good 35 pounds on that. That was great. But I knew once we sat down and we had to do the exactly how much weight has to be lost, right? And exactly how much time, right, overall, that I had to really nail down the intangibles. I really had to make sure I left nothing to question, nothing to fate. So sitting down with my bodybuilding coach, what we did is we determined how much I had to lose, how much weight, how much percent body fat, by when. Then we did a whole bunch of calculations, NASA level logarithms and stuff like that for sure. There was a slide rule, there was an abacus, there was a midget. It was pretty intense. We couldn't afford a monkey. So we kept working on it. So what we did to do that is once I determined those numbers and I figured it all out, then we worked backwards. What's this going to look like? What's it going to feel like? What are the numbers? And so far, so to even take those actually numbers, once I knew how many calories I had to eat and how much protein, and how many grams of fat, and how many grams of carbs, right? I actually took it to the next step and I broke it down into 4 meals so I would know exactly what those meals would look like, what they would consist of, how many ounces of protein in each meal, how many grams of carbohydrates in each meal. I bought a food scale, more measuring cups. I created a little section on the counter at home that I talked to my family. I said, guys, these 3 things that are on the counter need to stay here at all times. I know I also need to work on my consistency, and I need to make it foolproof and simple. Because in the past, the moment things get complicated or there's a little bit of chaos, those would be the first things I would forget about. And then I would get to the gym, no meals. Next thing you know, I'm ordering something from Swiss Chalet, which for a little while was actually cleaner than I would normally do. But the difference was on this, because it's so big, there's a certain amount of time, and I'm dialed in. I'm really owning this goal. I've had to become a food ninja. That took 6 minutes to get back to the title. That's not too bad. Comedians, that we do, right? You want to work back. I'm a fucking comedian. What you do is you always want to work back to that joke that you did early on, tie it all in, right? Make it all nice and neat so they think you're a fucking comedic genius, right? Or a moron. Some days I'm in between. It's just some days more close to one end than the other. But now I look at things. So before I would drink, the Monster Energy drink, because I'm a big fan of caffeine. If you don't like caffeine, shut your mouth. Don't tell me. But now I look at a can of Monster or Rockstar that, only has 5 grams of carbs. And I'm like, holy shit, it's got 5 grams of carbs. I can't have that because my carb intake is really low right now. So I'm looking at labels. And it's not that I didn't know how things were made up, but now it's down to the details. It's down to the gram. But it makes a difference. I've always said in bodybuilding, the one thing that I admired most was the attention to detail and consistency that I found extremely interesting, inspiring, motivating, even a bit of fuck, how can they do that? But that can only happen if you start to own, A, the goal, but B, you start to create some mastery in that area. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be in the mastery of food, but I'm a lot better. I can eat the same foods over and over again. I know I can. But I decided today when I was out at the grocery store, I needed to get some greens. So I got some spinach leaves and some kale. It's a blend. I'm pretty excited about that. And some asparagus, which is almost as expensive as gold right now. Just to change things up, because I have to have a little bit of greens with my food, right? A little bit of fiber, a little bit of nutrients, some phytonutrients. Heard someone say that. I don't know what it means. Right? Some vitamins. So I need to make sure that my food is well balanced. So I sat there and I saw shrimp was on sale. And my bodybuilding coach and I were talking about shrimp, how it's actually a great protein source because it's all protein, no fat, no carbs. I'm not talking about the breaded stuff, guys. I'm talking about the stuff this right out of the ocean, flash frozen. So I saw the bag was on sale. I bought it. As I'm driving home, I sent a text to my bodybuilding coach, and I'm like, hey, is there a certain way I should prepare this? He goes, well, is it raw or pre-cooked? I'm like, well, that's a really good question. Let's go back to the bag. So I look at the bag, and it says raw. So he goes, well, you got to cook it. So all of a sudden, I'm like, fuck, I've never cooked shrimp before. I've thrown it on the barbecue, but it's under 4 feet of snow right now. And I didn't bother digging it out because there's no red meat for me for another 31 weeks. So I'm sitting there going, well, how am I going to cook this shit up? And if I put it in a pan, I can't put butter, I can't put any fats in it because my fat intake is really low right now. So I'm really all right, well, let's figure this out. So I pulled out the frying pan, threw a bunch of frozen raw shrimp in there, turned it on to medium, and you know what? Cooked in its own juices. They look great. They look fantastic. Right? But up until today, I never fried up, I never panned up a thing of shrimp before. So it's another thing. Going back to what we talked about before in the last episode about the change. It's another little change, another little skill set. Now I'm ready for any type of shrimp situation. Right? I won't back down from the next time I run into some shrimp. And it's kind of cool because the other source of protein that I take in that's high protein, no fat, no carb is egg whites. And I'm fine with the egg whites. I don't mind pounding them back, like I said. But now I've got shrimp. Now, I'll be honest. I'm only going to hammer the shrimp when it's on sale. Because to get the amount of protein I need, it's beaucoup shrimp, so it gets pretty expensive. Nothing beats egg whites for the cost per serving. But you know what? I've got another tool in the chest. I've got another option. Really, really sharp. Really, really cool. Something else about becoming a food ninja is that in the 9 weeks, I've been working really hard. I haven't been, no cheats. I've been to the restaurant a couple times early on, ate clean. So we just passed Valentine's Day. So we're in February when we're recording these. These are coming out into March. So my wife and I on last Friday, decided to go for, a night little dinner to Montana's. It's like a Tex-Mex place if you're listening outside of Canada. And I'm like, you know what? We'll do it. And I'll order a garden salad and I'll have some soda water and I'll be fine. Right? It was meal number. It should have been meal number 3. I sort of skipped meal number 2 to give me some room calorie-wise, right, to adjust for it. But when I got there on the menu, there was a great-looking dish. It was 2 chicken breasts. Now, restaurant chicken breasts are always smaller than what you buy at home, so it was good that there was 2. Came on a little bit of rice, came with some veggies, and it had a sautéed mushroom cream sauce covering. So I was talking to the waiter, and I said, listen, I like all this, but I can't have the cream sauce. So he says, well, can you have the sautéed onions and the mushrooms? I'm like, yeah, absolutely, let's do that. So it comes out, and my wife orders steak. Looked really good, smelled really good. I'm glad she looked very happy having her steak. My meal comes out, looked good, smelled fantastic. And I picked through it, had everything. Even the rice was in the right proportion. It was good. So I ate that, and it tasted great. About 2 hours later, we're heading home. We're home, and we're just chilling. And started getting a little grumble in the stomach. I'm like, oh. And I realize I've got gas. I'm like, oh. It's because I've been eating so clean, I haven't had gas. I haven't had the fart all over the place and stuff. I'm burning pretty bright. But all of a sudden, I got this grumbling, and next thing you know, I fart, and I'm like, oh my God, it smells horrible. And it was, for like 20 minutes, it was just, and I could tell it's because I was digesting that food. So what I figured it must be is the onions. I haven't eaten onions in a long time, and they're sautéed, so maybe that's what it was. Now, every day I weigh myself, and with these new macro changes that I've been doing for the last 9 days, I was dropping between 1.25 pounds to 2 pounds a day because it's tight, right? We got lots to do. So on Thursday at 1 p.m., when I walk into the gym and I eat at 1, I fast till 1, I weigh in, then I eat. On Thursday, lost 1.5 pounds. I'm like, all right. Friday, lost almost 2 pounds. I'm like, excellent. So Saturday, I go in after having this Friday meal, this clean restaurant meal. I gain 1.2 pounds. So I wasn't very happy about that. The emotional side wasn't happy. But the coach side wasn't surprised. Because even though it was a clean meal, what happens is that when food is commercially prepared, they're going to throw a lot more stuff in there to make it taste really good, to make it look really good. So we've got a lot more sodium. We've got some nitrates in there. I don't know if they put MSG in there and that kind of stuff, but I mean, these are things that are thrown in to make food very flavorful. To make up for the fact that chicken might have been sitting in the corner of the freezer for the last 6 months and they had to chip it out with an ice pick. Who knows? But that was water retention. I knew it was water retention. I could feel the water retention. I knew there was extra stuff in there because of the way my stomach was digesting and dealing with the gas. So I coach-wise, I knew all this stuff. But the emotional side of me is like, I'm pissed. I ate really clean. I ate the right food choices, and I gained 1.2 pounds. I was talking to my bodybuilding coaches. He started laughing and stuff. He says, listen, just drink more water. I'm like, yeah, I'll skip a meal today. He goes, don't be an idiot. Just eat your way you normally do. It's going to reset itself. So sure enough, Sunday I go in to weigh in. And then I'm back down. That weight I gained plus a little bit more. So I end up being down even like the lowest for the whole week overall. And I felt the difference. So when I stepped on the scale, I wasn't surprised because I could feel the difference. But what that happens, though, is that it shows you is that those little things add up. So it was a long weekend. It was family day. So we had some family down from Toronto. And, they're not doing what I'm doing. So they want to go out Saturday night. They want to go out for some drinks. Well, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm not going to do that. And then they want to go to a restaurant. So, of course, my immediate reaction is, well, I did the restaurant thing already this week. I'm good. But judging on the results that I just went through, I don't want to put myself through that because it isn't part of the main goal. And I checked with my wife, are you okay if I don't go to this thing? I'll meet up with you guys later in the evening when you get back to someone's house, that kind of thing. She's like, well, what are you going to do? So I'll go to a movie. I end up going to a buddy's house to play euchre I hadn't seen in 20 years. It all worked out well. But what would have happened 9 weeks ago is I wouldn't have been weighing in every day. I wouldn't have been on top of my food. I wouldn't be, learning to the depth of what I've learning, acquiring that mastery of knowledge of food to catch this. I would have went to a restaurant a second time. And then I would have gained a couple more pounds, even if I made the right choices. But then the momentum would start to shift back to the old ways. So by staying on top of things, by having that big goal, by being focused and determined on owning this, I'm able to react, adjust, and then triage. So I'm not living in a cave and trying to be a monk. I had my social event. Given the choice between going out to dinner with my wife and going out to dinner with, extended family, well, I'd rather go out to dinner with my wife because we don't do it very often. So I get to pick and choose what's most important for me overall. And I don't feel like I've missed out on anything, but I also don't believe that, I should be rewarding myself every day for the littlest thing. And I think that's where a lot of us get stuck. The holidays, it's always, well, what do I do over the holidays? I'm like, well, don't eat like a fiend every day. Pick your battle. Is it going to be Christmas dinner? Then enjoy yourself. But if it's, there's a party here, there's a party there, and there's a party, and I'm like, well, if they all jump off a fucking bridge, are you going to jump off a bridge too? It comes down to that. Right? People want to give themselves excuses. All of a sudden, that 14th Christmas get-together is more important than your goals. And I'm like, it's not. Go to the event, eat before, drink water while you're there. If you're really there to spend time with friends and family, spend fucking time with friends and family. But if it's a matter of you getting there and you just pull a chair up to the table and all you're doing is eating food, well, you're not there for the fucking friends and family. So we got to be real. We got to be honest. You can go to an event for an hour and behave yourself and excuse yourself when you've had enough. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But we give ourselves these outs. But we don't realize how much it pushes us off course. That's where people, I think, sometimes get caught up in the romance of the goals and the changes they want to do. This is the year I change my life. Oh, there's a party. I'm going to put that on hold. This year this year I'm doing it. I'm going to do this. Oh, someone brought donuts in. Oh, got to put it on hold. Like, how fucking committed are you? That's the stuff you can control. That's the stuff you earn. That's the stuff you own. So at the end of the day, what I like about, where I'm at right now is that I pick and choose my food. I'm getting results. I'm happy. I'm feeling great. I'm moving towards something big. Luke and I were just talking about just, how that just builds momentum and confidence and self-esteem. Well, that's worth far more than a fucking tray of cheese and crackers at someone's house you don't even like that much. When we get down to it. So at the end of the day, for me, mastering food to the next level, becoming that food ninja, has to happen. It's a necessity for what I'm doing. There's no way I'm going to be able to out bodybuild my diet. If I didn't have 120 pounds to lose, if I had 40 pounds to lose, then my diet wouldn't be as strict. But you have to pay for your sins. The truth is, I have 120 more pounds to lose, 110 more pounds to lose. Well, that's not going to happen easy. But I never should have got there in the first place. So you got to pay for your sins. So what's great is I'm using a goal to force me to make these changes. Because if I didn't do it, next year I'd still be talking about it and I'd still be 375 to 395 pounds. And saying next year and next year. Meanwhile, things are getting harder to deal with, harder to work with. I don't want to be in the same position a year from now, let alone 6 fucking weeks from now. So in order to go to this next level, I have to become a food ninja. The working out part is easy in comparison because I know the working out part. It's not easy if you don't know working out, but after 30 years of working out, I know the fuck out of working out. The hard part is mastering the weaker areas, the areas, though, that have to be done. If I was sitting on a pile of cash and I could afford to hire a personal chef, it wouldn't help me out to the same level because it wouldn't force me to learn. He would know. He would have to know. I would just be sitting there eating it like a fucking cow at the trough, hoping that these numbers are right, hoping that we're headed in the right direction. But again, hoping, not in control, not determining, not moving under my own power to where I want to go. And that's really, for any goal that we want to change, any goal that we want to attain, we have to find mastery in different areas to do it. We said it many times. What got us here is not going to get us there. So you have to become a ninja in the areas where you're weak. And I think it's really important that you do that so that you understand what it is you have to do. I don't want to become a bookkeeper, but the better I understand basic bookkeeping and taxes, the better I can run my business. But I have a bookkeeper and an accountant. But the better I understand it, the concepts and how it works, the more I'm going to understand the conversations I have with my professionals, the more I'm going to be able to plan, the more I'm going to be able to sit and reason, make better decisions on spending. So that's what it becomes down to, that's why whatever goal you have, you need to own that goal. It has to be big. It has to be a huge why, because there's a lot of work behind the scenes on it. And I really think that's why a lot of people are failing on their goals, because they underestimate the undertaking and what's going to be required. I'm not talking about a goal to lose 5 pounds. I'm not talking about a goal to clean the kitchen. Those are so basic goals that, I don't even like talking them, because all you're doing, I think, is just pretending that you're going after something and doing something. They're too easy. They're too basic. They're not fulfilling. It's common sense. It's not going to keep you focused when times are tough. The challenge of a bigger goal is going to make you better all the way around. And you know what the cool part about that is that you get better at everything else around you. Everything from confidence to energy to focus. Everything around you will improve because you're improving. So for me, I have to continue on becoming a food ninja. Guys, that's all I have to say on that for now. Head on over to iTunes, leave me a 5-star rating. A positive review would be awesome. Head on over to hostilegear.com, use the code word Silverback to get your Food Ninja hoodie while you save 20%. And as always, guys, work hard, motherfuckers, and I'll talk to you guys later.